Well, 680 News business editor Richard Southern joins us now. And Richard, Ford is gearing up for some major job cuts.
Yeah, it could be big, Shauna. Good afternoon to you. Wall Street Journal reports that Ford is looking to cut 20,000 jobs, 10% of its global workforce. The newspaper says the cuts would target salaried employees. Ford has not confirmed this report. We don't know exactly to what degree the Canadian operations will be affected here. Ford had announced last month, though, that it's looking to cut $3 billion in order to invest in what are called emerging opportunities. Of course, these established automakers starting to really get threatened now by some of the electric car makers. Tesla recently surpassed Ford in market value. So we're going to be following this one closely, Shauna.
All right, and sticking with the auto industry, Richard, one leading economist says that fossil fuel vehicles will vanish in 8 years.
Yeah, I found this very fascinating. This is Stanford University economist Tony Saba. He was out with a very interesting report today, and a lot of people are talking about it. He says by 2025, all new vehicles will be electric. He says the tipping point for this will come in about 3 years when electric battery power surpasses 200 miles. Cities, he says, will ban human drivers once data confirms how dangerous they are behind the wheel. The value of second-hand cars will plunge. Gas stations will be harder to come by. He says oil will drop to about $25 U.S. per barrel by 2030 as a result of all these shifts. And as far as the automakers are concerned, he says they'll face a choice between making electric cars at low profits or reinventing themselves as driving companies, self-driving companies like Uber and Lyft. You know, we could debate the timing on this, Shauna, but it's certainly starting to move in this direction. India has already drawn up plans to phase out gas vehicles by the year 2032. It's going to happen, I think, eventually.
All right, Richard, well, moving on just a little bit. So a notorious Etobicoke strip club will be closing its doors for good. And what can you tell us about that, Richie? Yeah,
this is the House of Lancaster, Shauna, in Etobicoke. It's on the Queensway near Royal York, and it has over the years gained quite the reputation as perhaps one of the city's more seedier spots. Since 2013, the House of Lancaster has been the site of at least 3 separate shootings, and it's located in a very residential area. So a lot of the area residents there had issues, not only with the violence, but with some noise at night. It has now been sold, and the House of Lancaster will close in the coming months, so we understand. We don't know what it's going to be, though. The new buyers haven't disclosed exactly what they're going to turn it into, but it's going to go away. The House of Lancaster out there in Etobicoke, Shauna.
All right, I'm going to predict it's going to turn into a condo. I'll just throw that out there.
Well, that's a tough prediction to make. Okay.
All right, so Chanel, Richard, has been accused of cultural appropriation, and it all stems from a shocking new product. What's this about? Yeah,
I want to show it to you. This is fashion house Chanel has come out with a boomerang, of all things, a Chanel-branded boomerang. The wooden device has, your double C Chanel logo there. This is selling for $2,000, and some people have apparently paid that. The boomerang was traditionally a hunting tool for native Indigenous Australian people, and so the criticism about this product revolves around how Chanel is profiting from an Indigenous artifact and selling it for a high price, while many Indigenous communities in Australia and elsewhere live in poverty and face discrimination. A spokesperson for the fashion house Chanel said they regret if anyone was offended by this.
All right, Richard, interesting. Now, 2 companies are reeling from recent hack attacks, and while Bell is apologizing, Disney has a very different response.
Yeah, they're both kind of being extorted, it would appear. BCE, the Bell Canada parent, Shauna, apologizing after 1.9 million email addresses of customers and names and phone numbers were illegally accessed. And a note was posted online saying more will leak if the telecom company doesn't cooperate. BCE stock was down 0.75% today. And Disney says hackers have stolen the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which is set to be released at the end of the month. The hackers have apparently demanded a huge chunk of change. They want it in Bitcoin, or they will release the movie in chunks of 5 minutes starting tomorrow, apparently. And Disney at this point has said they won't be paying a single cent. Disney stock taking a hit as a result, down more than 1% today, Shauna.
Okay, sounds good. And so it may be the perfect sponsorship agreement. Remember the Leaf superfan Dark Guy? He was a pretty funny guy. He really shot to stardom really quickly. Well, he's becoming a celebrity pitchman. Tell us more, Richard.
Yeah, he was, big during the Leafs playoff run. He always had a dart or a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, Shauna. So now he's teamed up, appropriately enough, perhaps, with Nicorette. He's going to be a pitchman for Nicorette. This is the nicotine gum. It promises, itself or advertises itself as a way to quit smoking. Dark Guy says he's ready to quit, which is certainly commendable, but it looks like he's ready to take one last drag off his 15 minutes of fame. Shauna, no word on how much money he's getting from Nicorette.
All right, well, how fitting, Richard. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. For now, though, I'm going to send it over to meteorologist Adam Stiles.